Namaste, I'm Arunisha Sengupta from Dharma Vibe, and today we are at Shriram Towers in Hafiz-Pet at Hyderabad, where we have just concluded a huge public Homa by PVR Narasimha Rao Ji, and then we also had a DIY Homa, do-it-yourself Homa, where a lot of people were taught. There were around 200 participants who were here, and a lot of people were taught to do Homa. Homa is a movement which has started almost a decade back, and it has now caught the imagination, the fervor, and the dharmic capacity that is required for it to do across now the whole world. And one of the proponents of the Homa movement is PVR Narasimha Rao Ji, who is also called as PVR Garu, okay, by a lot of people, like an elder brother. And we are going to talk to him on his thoughts about Homa, certain Shastric confusions that people have. I would like to, utilize this time to talk to him and create and clear these confusions a bit. And also, I would want to know how Homa could be the future of sadhana. So, hop into this little interview that I'm going to have with him. I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy it. Namaste and Om Namah Shivaya. Narasimha, thank you very much for the Homa today. It was amazing. The vibe was fantastic. And is this your first time you've taken a workshop here in India?
This is my first time in India.
Okay.
In US I have done it few, and I'm going to do few more next year. In India, this is the first.
How did you like the environment? How did you like the people's reactions to you, the feedback that you received?
It's really nice to do in India. US is also nice. Basically, you get the same kind of people in US. But in India, there's something about some special energy about India. The surroundings are really nice. This is a very peaceful community. There's a nice temple here. Very, very nice place.
So, are you planning to do more workshops here in India, or overall? See, because why I'm asking you this question is universally the Homa movement has caught up. Would you like to historically go back a little so that for the benefit of everyone, they also come to know as to when you started and how it has caught up and accelerated further?
Yeah. So this whole thing started in around 2006. We did a substantive Homa in 2006 at Chennai Karkambar temple. And during that Homa, that was actually done for with a specific sankalpa. Swami Jayendra Saraswati was arrested at the time, and we felt that we had a run out of the organization, the institution. So we did a Homa, we did a substantive Homa. It was conducted by Swami Sadasiva. And during the event, Divine Mother gave a darshan to my Guru Dr. Pandit and told him to simplify Homa and enable anybody who is interested in doing Homa for individual spiritual progress and Dharma and increase of Dharma in the world, enable them with a simple procedure. And without money mentioning it to anybody, including me, Swami Sadasivam gifted us a bunch of books on various styles of various Homa Vidhanas. He also gifted us, both of us, Homa Kunda, etc. So, what happened is, the interesting thing is, Manish did not tell me any of this. He told me there was another person. His name is Narayan. He was at the place. The temple closes in the afternoon, so it was only Manish and Narayan the temple, and I was actually at Kanchi on that day. During that 1 week, we were basically all the time at the temple. But on that one day, Swami Sadasivam took me to Kanchi. So we were not there. So it was just Manish and Narayan. So when the Devi gave darshan and gave this command, Narayan did not see anything, but it felt like there was some amazing smell. Like we have a big pile of sandalwood powder. Somebody basically threw a fan on it. So he felt something crazy, didn't know what it was. So after the whole event, Manish told me, Narasimha, Narayan, at that time he wasn't married. Now he has wife and child. Narasimha, Narayan needs to do a Homa. To teach him how to do a Homa. Before I teach anybody, I have to learn this. And luckily, Swami Sadasivam he gifted all these books. So I looked at those, tried different styles, consolidated, and came up with a procedure. And I taught it to Narayan. And he said, I'm not able to remember all this. This is too confusing. This is too difficult for me. So Manish said, write it down for him. So I wrote down a cheat sheet with the mantras and the basic steps and gave it to Narayan. So he started doing the Homa. And Manish said, if you created this, why not put it on the internet as well? Other people will benefit. And and then I said, okay, cheat sheet is not enough for putting on the internet. I need to have detailed instructions. So I created a detailed manual with all instructions. Basically, being a Kanya Lagna person, I tend to be very systematic. So a very systematic manual was created. And then he said, why only Ganpati? I don't know, for Narayana I told you Ganpati Homa is what he needs to do. But for other people, Vishnu, Shiva, Lakshmi, there are so many devatas I want to create. So I created various devatas. So after all this, he mentioned, this is all Devi's comment. And trust me, in a few decades, lakhs of people will be doing Homa across the world. It is guaranteed. Devi already mentioned that this will happen. Then I said, oh, why didn't you tell me earlier? He said, if I do that, you'll be like, I'm doing some important work. I'm doing some really important work. So you'll be proud. So I wanted you to do simply just to help an individual rather than doing some important work that will change the lives of many. So don't have all that clutter in your mind. Just keep it simple. So that's why I didn't tell you all that. So anyway, uh, coming back, we put those manuals on the internet, and we don't have any organization. We didn't really push aggressively. People just discovered. And the older generation people, they are scared to do things. They think that, oh, if I don't do this right, something will happen. So people are scared, but the younger generation, they are really free and adventurous. So people, and also it helped that I had some limelight because of astrology, because I was a known astrologer, and also a lot of people use my free software. Dharma. So people come to my website for astrology, but then they discover, oh, there is a Homa manual. So people started doing Homa. Those who are interested picked up the manuals and started doing Homa. And the beautiful thing with fire is, once you spend time in front of fire, you just get hooked. There's something powerful about fire. It is so calming, it's so clarifying, it's so purifying. It just basically it's energetic. So you feel really nice in the company of fire. So the same meditation that you do outside of fire, if you do in front of fire, it will basically become more accentuated, more powerful. So people just fell in love with it. So a whole new generation of youngsters who discovered the fun of the company of Adhudeva grew around them. And we started getting so many questions. People would send me an email, what do I do with this? What do I do with that? So we don't have a count of how many people are doing it, but judging comments from people and the kind of emails, the amount of emails I get, and the kind of people who run into me in some public places and tell me, I benefited from your Homa manual, my life was changed. It seems like a huge amount of people, probably tens of thousands of people are already doing Homa by themselves, either weekly or daily. So this just do organically. At one stage I asked Manish, should we have an organization, formal organization? And he was not really interested in it. He said, once there is an organization, there will be all the ego clashes, and then people want to control things. There will be all these politics. Whereas if you just put it organically, if it is meant to catch up, it will catch up. And he said it is meant to catch up because mother told, mother assured. So don't worry about whether one person does it or 1 million people do it. You just put it out there, and then let see what happens. See the fun. So that's basically has been the approach so far. And then one person in Washington DC, he asked me. He saw the manuals and he said, manuals are nice, but if somebody actually physically is in front of you and teaches you, and you do it in front of the person, you become more confident and comfortable. So we do a workshop in Washington DC. So that was the first workshop we did in 2022 May. So we planned the workshop and we did it. It was a big success. We had like more than 100 people, and not all of them were from Washington DC. People came from all over US, and one person even came from Singapore, people came from Canada, West Indies. So we decided, okay, there is some potential here. People are interested in learning physically and also doing in front of a person who has already done it. So we did a couple of Homa workshops in US, and I already signed up for a couple of workshops here in US. And in India, I wasn't planning to do it because the problem is I spend most of my time in US. And if I want to travel in US from one place to another, it's easy. For India, it's a 24-hour travel, and you need a once you come here, you need to justify it. So you need a longer vacation. And at my age, we have marriages happening. For example, my daughter's marriage happened. We can have that. So marriages of your siblings' children, your children, lot of things happen at my age. So whenever I come, there is some agenda. So I don't really have a lot of time for this kind of thing. But one thing I have done in the last several trips to India is there's a Dutch hospital to here. So I do a Homa there. People come and meditate along with me, chant along with me. So that's what I was originally planning to do. And all credit to Vishweshwar and Surya. They basically said, why don't you do a workshop also? Instead of just you doing a Homa, let everybody else do a Homa. I said, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Do you think you can pull it off? And then with a short notice, we have pulled it off. The attendance was amazing.
Yeah, and they pulled it off very well.
It was
I must
very well
say.
done.
Yes. So one more thing which, while I was conversing with a few people here and also back in Mumbai and when I am having my conversations with various people, one of the things that comes across very clearly and which is also a matter of little bit of hesitancy to people is that Homas by Narasimha, Manish, okay, are a very unorthodox way. Okay, it's not an orthodox method. So while you have a long standing of the Shastras which are behind, and there are some who would be purists all the time, the people who are may not be purists in terms of their own behavior and practices, but in these cases, whenever they have to find a kind of put some doubt or aspersions, that's the time when they say that this is a method and the method that since it is open to all, it's a very unorthodox manner in which this is being conducted. To somebody or something like that, what is your reaction? Which could be one is probably philosophical, which is coming from a human aspect of you. The other is the shastric aspect that you would like to give to a situation like this.
Okay, so there are some people will obviously have some objections, and there are two kinds of objections. One is the kind of people we are enabling to do. People talk about adhikara. She is a woman, so she can't do Homa. This person is not a Brahmana by birth, so he can't do Homa. That is one kind of objections which I will cover. The other objection is the procedure is simple, but the thing is we haven't really added anything. If you take the simplest manual or simple manual, they whatever steps are given in those are there in the shastras. So we haven't added anything, but we have subtracted something. And as I always mention when I teach Homa to people, I always mention the story of this cat. There was a priest who was doing a Homa every day, and he had a cat. And because cat is a fire hazard, cat runs around, there can be an accident. So he used to tie it in a car. One day the priest passed away, and his Shishya wanted to continue the tradition, and he figured out the procedure by observing his guru. So he knew everything, but he did not have a cat. So when Guru passed away and he wanted to continue, he went to the store, bought a cat, and started tying it. See, the thing is, he did not understand why he's tying the cat. He's tying the cat because he already had it, and it's a problem. If you don't have a cat, you don't need to do it. So similarly, in some procedures, people basically want to strip you are using, you want to purify it. Some people even use soap, which is actually a modern invention, it's not really an older thing. So there are, if you look at the procedures that people do, there are a lot of steps. And people use several different kalsas. I'm not saying that those are wrong, but my contention is there are a lot of steps that are kind of superficial. And they are kind of like the cats in the story, they are figurative cats. So the essence, and also when I teach Homa, why you are making offering to Prajapati, why to Indra, why to Agni, I'm explaining esoterically. So my take is there is a part of Shastra that is permanent And a part of Shastra that evolves with time, that has to be adjusted based on this Shastra. I always give this analogy: raw grain versus cooked grain. Raw grain tastes forever, whereas cooked grain it basically gets spoiled after time. So if you look at our Shastras, there is a part of the Shastra that is like raw grain, and there is a part of the Shastra that is like cooked grain. And cooked grain is basically specific instructions. You turn around this many times, you do this, you cook this many prabhat. These are all to be cooked grain. They are not raw grains. Whereas you worship Prajapati because he's the ruler of Muladhara Chakra. You worship Indra because he's the ruler of Sushumna. These are all raw grain. These are all permanent concepts. The specific, the generics are permanent. They are like the raw grain. The specific sometimes they are like the cooked grains. So with time, they basically get spoiled. And unless you basically understand and cook it again and come up with specific instructions, it is not really working. So what we did is the Adesh of the Devi to my guru was to simplify and make it accessible. Not really make it so complicated and elaborate that people will not do. Because even the priests who do really elaborate rituals, they don't do every day. They do now and then. And our philosophy is instead of having a big 10-course meal once every 6 months, we have a dal chawal or dal roti depending on whether you are South Indian or North Indian. Every day, it gives you better, more strength. So we want to keep it simple. So regarding the second criticism, we haven't added anything, we haven't changed really, but we have simplified. We have taken the crux, and I contend that the stuff that we are leaving out is basically second. But again, we have simplest manual, simple manual, we have legacy manual, we have various manuals, and there will be more manuals going forward. For example, Aditya Manjasva, Haristana is not there in some manuals, but it is there in some manuals. So the idea is create a series of manuals where if somebody doesn't want a lot of overhead, they just want to convert a puja into Homa with very little overhead, they can do using mantras that are given in Shastra. And if somebody has more time and he is more interested in a longer ritual, we can basically have more steps. So from that perspective, we have simplified, but we haven't. I contend that we have taken the crux and make it more relevant. Just to give a simple example, take the concept of Sankirtan. A lot of people when they do a puja, they do an elaborate 5 minute Sankirtan, which has so many different classes, and God knows who you are, where you are, and why you are doing it. Even if you don't take a sankalpa, what is at the back of your mind, God knows. And if He really wants to give it to you, He will give it to you. So these are all really super clear, redundant. What people do is they take a long sankalpa, but for the main mantra, I have seen in some temples, they just do the mantra 4 times or 8 times, small number of times, and they are done. In my opinion, that is the crux. The main mantra of the Pradhan Devata is the crux. So if you want to see, this is the bottom line. The old days people were doing 3 hour sadhanas every day. Now people have only half hour or maybe less. Half hour is also a luxury for some. So if you want to do in 20 minutes, you have to make the right trade-off. You can't cut something that is really the crux and hang on to something that is secondary or tertiary. So my answer to that criticism is we have taken the primary things and then secondary and tertiary have been removed in the simplest versions. And in the next stages, we are adding more secondary steps, more tertiary steps, etc. So we are creating a gradation of manuals where, depending on the time they have, and depending on how interested people are, some people want a long ritual, some people want a short ritual and then spend more time meditating. So we are enabling all kinds of people. So that is one thing. The first criticism is adhikara, the question of adhikara, women not doing, women not allowed to do, etc. If you look at the Shastras, it's not really explicitly written in any ancient Shastra that women cannot chant Veda or women cannot do rituals, including Homa. If you, for example, take Ramayana, there is an explicit reference where Rama goes to meet Kausalya, his mother, and the Pacharikas come and say, your mother is doing her daily havan in her inner quarters, so Rama waits for her. And also there is a reference to Vedmantras. So Kausalya was using Vedmantras and doing havan. So if something is okay for Rama's mother, if she was not sinning, a woman who's doing it now is not sinning. Secondly, Upasini Maharaj, whom Shri Sai Baba said, he said he's Brahma Vishnu Maheshwara Rupa. He's basically God is in him. And Shirdi Sai Baba did Shorsopachar Puja to Upasi Maharaj. He was such a learned scholar of all the four Vedas. He explicitly said that women can do Homa, women can chant Veda mantras, and he actually taught them Veda mantras and made them do yajnas at Sapori. And even now, the temple in Sapori, women do yajnas with Veda mantras. So there are authorities like him, learned in Vedas, who basically did this. And there is no Shastra Pramana that women cannot do anywhere. This is basically modern Dharma Shastras, not anything that is coming, tracing back to a Rishi. And talking about Rishis, if you take Devi Sukta, there are various suktas, Sri Suktam, Devi Sukta. Devi Sukta is one of the rare suktas. It is the only sukta, to my knowledge, which is in Prathama, which is not in Anyapurusha or Madhyapurusha, which is basically he is God, he is Brahma, he is Vishnu, he is Shiva, or you are Brahma, you are Vishnu, you are Shiva, but I am Brahma, I am Vishnu. So it is in that I one. So that Aham that one. So Devi Suktam, the Rishi of the Suktam is a lady. So in other words, she not only learned Veda, she actually revealed Veda to the world. She heard it within a deep meditative state and she revealed it. So in the old days, we had female rishis who were not only learning Veda but teaching Veda, who were actually the first recipient of a particular aspects of Veda. So given that, it basically makes no sense to say that women cannot. And now, logically looking at it, apart from Pramanas, etc., and precedents, etc., looking at it logically, men and women, the difference between them is just in the physical body. We are made up of the Sthula Sarira, physical body, the Sukshma Sarira, subtle body, Karana Sarira, causal body, made up of all your organs. So the difference is only in the Sukshma Sarira. The sadhana, even though the physical body does the sadhana, it is actually working at the level of Sukshma Sarira. It is your mind and your vasanas that the sadhana is. So sadhana is really for the Sukshma Sarira. And there is no difference between men and women. And also, once Swamiji told me, when we were discussing the concept of Adhikara, one Swamiji from the parampara of Yogavatar Babaji from Himalaya, he told me, you said you are a man and she is a woman. We are all women. Only Sri Krishna is a man in the whole universe. Everybody else is a woman. So the bottom line is, all these concepts are coming from misconceptions, and I argue that these are all remnants of the Muslim rule and the British rule over India. In the old days, in Indian tradition, if you look at our history, women were taking parts in battles, women were taking part in everything. The distinction between men and women, the lowering of women, this is basically, in my opinion, a remnant of the Muslim rule, the various sultans and Mughals who ruled India for 1,000 years, and after that, the Victorian British people. Because they had a clear notion that women are inferior, women can only do certain things. But in Indian culture, women and men, they're different, but it's not a concept of inferiority or superiority. So we never really distinguish between them. So I will argue that we are not really deviating from Shastra, but we are going back to the original Shastras of Rishis and removing the corrupt influence of the last movement.
There is a journalistic question that I will ask you, and that is, are you replacing puja, which is the normal puja that people do, with Homa?
That's a great question. See, our rishis always gave up-in options. Unlike the modern religions of Kali Yuga, religions that came in Kali Yuga where they have one approach. You do this, that's it. Otherwise, you are going to hell. But in Hinduism, Sanatana Dharma, rishis gave many paths. So you can look at a stone or metal and think of God in that. You can just focus on your breath and feel God in that. So there are a lot of paths. So I don't really want to replace puja with Homa. Homa is one sadhana, puja to an idol or kalasa is another sadhana. Let people do whatever they want to do. But the thing is, I am making a point. If you like spending time in the company of fire, a puja can be converted to a Homa with very little water. If you use the simple Homa manuals, there are just a few offerings, 5 offerings in the beginning, 5 or 7 offerings in the beginning, 6 offerings at the end. Other than that, it's basically just puja. So I'm basically giving a way to convert puja into Homa for somebody who's inclined, for whom fire is really nice. Spending time in the company of fire makes one feel nice. I'm giving that option. But if somebody says, I don't like fire, I like my Ganesha Murti, the idol, I will only worship this stone idol, I'm fine with that. In my opinion, you do sadhana however you like. But one thing is, anybody who experiences fire will know that there is something alive there, something moving there. So it is easier to form a connection, believe that there is God there, and connect to the divine through that medium, compared to Kalasha, compared to idols made of stone or metal. But I'm not downplaying them at all. I mean, they are perfectly fine. But this is a very good part, and if it makes sense to you, I'm enabling you to convert puja.
Narasimhaji, one more question that is pertaining to this aspect is that how does then one understand whether fire is my path or Tarpana is my path or the gross, which is the puja of idol murtis, is my path? How does one understand that? Because I'm sure you know that in a stage of flux that we are in, we are very confused as people.
That's a great question. Unfortunately, I don't think there is a thumb rule to decide that this is my path. And secondly, when it comes to Agnikarya and Tarpana, these were part of Karma in the old days for three varnas. So these are meant to be done every day because we all have manas, various debts to various beings. If I am logically thinking right now and speaking some words logically, my my Tingalnadi is working. So if that is working, that means Agni is basically channeling various thoughts. So I'm indebted to Agni. Similarly, if my intuition is saying stay away from this or do this, my intuition is working, Soma is working. So like that, various devatas that are covered in the Homa, we have a runa. So basically everybody has five runa. Devaruna, etc. Right? Devaruna, Pitruna. There are five runa that everybody is obliged to pay that. So Homa or Agnikarya is one runa to the Vedas, and Tarpana is Pitruna. So these are really essential things. But the thing is, to make that your central sadhana, as opposed to one of the things that you do, make that your central sadhana, there's no rule that tells you this is the path for you. Some astrologers will tell you, if a fairy planet is strong in your chart, then Agnikarya is the best for you. But the thing is, I don't believe that is correct. There's no reliable principle using which you can say, this is the best avatar for you, this is the best sadhana for you. So the best approach is try various things and whatever works for you. Works meaning no miracles. It's just when you do something you feel nice. You feel some clarity. You feel like your burden is lessened. So if you are able to make that connection in any sadhana, whether it's Agni or Murti, whether it's Ganesha or Durga, you basically do that. So unfortunately I don't have a good answer to you. There's no thumb rule. But one thing I will tell you is Agni, because we all have soul inside us. Soul is a spark of fire, according to Shastra. And soul is the one that is supporting all our existence. Just like Surya is the one that's supporting entire solar system. So this fire is very important. And company of fire will strengthen this fire. So basically for clarity of soul, instead of our vasanas at the mind level dominating, if soul and its clarity for it to dominate your existence, company of fire will resonate. So in general for spiritual growth, Agni is a useful. Even when somebody worships a murti, they will invariably light a fire. There is a lamp is an essential part. Not only in Hinduism, Jews light lamps, Christians light lamps, everybody uses lamps. And specifically having a fire, invoking God in it, and trying to connect to God through fire exists in all religions. Incas from South America, where I live in North America, various Indians, not these Indians, but the native Indians, Native Americans, they worship fire. And I know some people who still worship fire. And at least some people worship at least on the solstice day, winter solstice or summer solstice day, they worship fire. They try to connect to God through fire. basically the start of China. So, and Aboriginals of Australia too. So, this is found in all religions. And also, Shastras say, Agni Mukhavai Deva. Agni is the portal to gods. So the bottom line is all sadhanas have their own place, but Agni is particularly powerful for trying to connect with God and clarifying the clutter in our mind and let the soul dominate because it is the nature of soul.
So, Narasimhan, one of the questions or one of the things that we get, I mean, people who are practitioners of Homa, who come across is that um, Homas historically have been very objective driven, in the sense there is the Putra Kamishti Yagya, or if there is a some uh, healing purposes, you will do Homa, or for some kind of mundane objective, a Homa is done. So whenever they see us doing Homa, the first things first, people who are probably not the practitioners of Homa would come to us and ask us that, can you, I'm facing this kind of a trouble, can you heal us with it? Or if there is, something which is happening to somebody, can that be done? So in a situation, so my thing is that you have used or we are using Homa for a larger spiritual, progress, but it is associated mostly, by and large, with objective driven, quest. So how do we address that?
That's a great question. The thing is, honestly speaking, people are aware of things like Prathameshti, etc. because they're specially mentioned. But Homa or fire ritual was not always associated with getting a specific objective. Because Agnikarya is supposed to be part of Karma. Just for the pleasure of devatas, there are certain basic devatas that you have to run to, so you make offerings to them. So this was part of Karma. But the thing is, when you talk about Homa being objective driven, you are talking about specific Homas that are done outside of Karma. So there, things like Ashwamedha, Prathameshti, etc., there is a specific purpose behind those Homas. But it is not true that only those are fire rituals. Those are special cases. The general case is for dharma in the world and for the pleasure of various devatas who maintain dharma in the world, basically balance in the world, who make offerings in fire every day. And every Brahmana used to do. Not only Brahmanas, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas used to do in the old days. So, what we are doing is that what has happened is the regular Homa, Nichakarma as a Nichakarma, even 10-15 minute fire ritual, the people, all Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaisyas used to do, at least all Brahmanas used to do in the old days, has disappeared in the last few hundred years.
And what could be the reason for it?
The oppression from the other religions.
Okay.
First from Islam and then from
Who
the
consider
British.
fire as a non
For example, in Islam, fire is haram.
haram?
In general, Hindu rituals were ridiculed. They are seen as, oh, this is just dumb, this is superstition. So the playbook used by the invaders of the last 1,000 years is, you guys are dumb, you guys are backward, and we'll enlighten you, we'll educate you. So because of that, not only Homa, but so many Nichakarmas, so many pujas got lost. And the current generation was brought in the last few decades, people were raised thinking that this is all superstition, this is all nonsense. So because of that, even the Brahmanas who are doing ritual nowadays, they are doing it only for specific sankalpa for their yajamanas, for their clients. So they are not really doing it for the pleasure of the gods. It was done by so many people in the world. And when you do that, the gods are happy. There is dharma, there is a balance in the world. So my contention is, in the last few decades, the balance has really deteriorated in the world because people are not doing what they are supposed to do on a regular basis. So when we enable people to do Homa as a for spiritual progress as a daily routine or weekly routine, in effect, what we are doing is we are creating a new set of brahmanas who will basically ensure that these devatas are happy and there is a balance in the world. So overall, everybody can feel that Dharma has deteriorated in the last 100 years or so. From the time of, say, Ramakrishna Paramahansa, we have definitely lower level of Dharma. People are more selfish, people are more greedy, and people are not focused on doing their job, doing their duty beautifully. Everybody wants their own gain and they're very greedy. So this is partly because people are not doing this karma and strengthening Surya in the skies, Chandra, all these devatas for maintaining balance in the whole world. So, so the thing is, this is really a mission to create that kind of people who will keep Dharma up in the world. And as far as doing rituals with specific sankalpa is concerned, if somebody comes and asks you, my son doesn't have a job, can you please do a homa? It is fine to do homa for specific sankalpa. If there is no desire, that is ideal. But when there is a desire, doing a puja to fulfill that desire is not a bad thing. Of course, if the desire is tamasic, like you want to attract a particular person, or you want to destroy a particular person, you want to kill a particular person, then there's problem. Of course, there may be corner cases where even those may be for dharma, but in general, these are these are problematic. I call this monkey business. But dharmic things like somebody getting married, somebody getting a child is fine. So it is fine to do rituals with specific sankalpa. But the thumb rule is if the person who's doing it is closer to the person who will benefit from it, it will work better because you are able to, you will have some feeling for the person. If you are doing it for somebody you have no interest in or is not even close to you, you don't care about the person, it will become more mechanical. Whereas if it is your own son, daughter, wife, mother, you will have some passion about it. And eventually these things work because there is bhava. There is that please help me God, that feeling is there. This is why in Parasara Madhurya there is an explicit guidance. Compared to a ritual done by a priest in one's name, the ritual done by one's own guru or sishya is 100 times more powerful. Because he will have some attachment attached. Compared to that, a ritual done by your own one's own father or son will be further 100 times more effective because the attachment will be even stronger there because of the genetic character. And finally, compared to that, a ritual done by oneself will be further 100 times more effective. In other words, a ritual done by oneself is 1 million times more effective than a ritual done by a priest in oneself. The basic idea is most people don't have the ability to feel somebody else's pain, empathize completely with somebody else's pain, and have that force, emotional force that wants, please solve this problem, God. So that basically is the idea. So it's fine to do homas or any other ritual with a specific sankalpa as long as it is meaningful and harmonic. But the person who's doing it is close, emotionally close to the one who will benefit from it, it has a better chance of.
Narasimhaji, uh, if a person like who has not had any kind of spiritual grounding or has very practical aspects of life and they're very mundane and is doing his materialistic work, uh, if he or she starts doing homa, is there a wild estimate we can take in terms of timeline as to when can that person actually have some triggers for spiritual acceleration? A wild estimate. And again, a very journalistic question.
Yeah, I say great question with no answer. The thing is, see, how much force does it take to move this watch? Suppose I put this watch here. I just push it like this, it will move. Suppose I want to move Arunisha on the chair. I need to use more force. And suppose I want to move this whole building or a big boulder. It takes a crane. So like that, it depends on the effort has to be commensurate with the obstacle. So the person who's doing homa or any sadhana, really, not just homa, but any ritual or sadhana, how much karma are they carrying on their shoulders?
So it is all depending on the
It
karmic.
absolutely depends on your own karmic burden. So somebody with very little burden can quickly fly. Somebody with a lot of burden will be doing a lot of sadhana. It will seem like it's not working, but it is working. It is lessening it, but you can't really feel the benefits because you're just carrying so much burden. So I know people who started doing homa within a week. They said, "Where did this happen?" my life transformed. And there are people who do for years, 2 3 years, and nothing really happens. So it's very difficult to put a thumb there, give a formula. But all I can guarantee you is gods are merciful. If you are doing sadhana, whether it is Homa or some other sadhana, it will never go away. It will eventually benefit. And the other thing is, even in the case of somebody who's carrying huge karmic burden, even if it seems like sadhana is not working, there is one benefit. First of all, sadhana is working and reducing that karmic burden so that at some stage the dam will break loose. That is one thing. The other thing is you stop performing new bad karmas. The main problem we all have is not only we have to face the music, face the fruits of our previous karmas, maybe good or bad, but in the process we perform new karmas. Because if we did something bad to somebody in the past, somebody is doing bad to us, and we resist that, we hate that person, we fight with that person actively, we do propaganda against that person. So this is new karma. The person, if he identifies with the karma, it becomes a problem for him. But the thing is, as far as you are concerned, you are getting the payback for something you did in the past. Correct. If you accept it and you move on, you are better off. But we don't do that. We get stuck. Why should he do that to me? I'm such a nice person. Why is he doing this mean thing to me? So we basically get stuck in the cycle. So if you do sadhana, even if good things are not starting to happen to you, you are able to process the bad things that are happening to you better with a calmer state of mind. So that it is possible even for somebody who is suffering a lot. After a few months of sadhana, it is possible that they see that there is a difference in their mind space. They are able to take things in a more calm way. But the thing is, in terms of when things start happening, again, what starts happening to you is dependent on you. What you decide in the past. Suppose somebody desired mystical experiences, then when one does enough sadhana, one may get mystical experiences. But it may be a problem. He may become proud. He may think, oh, I'm pahuncha hua aadmi. I'm a great sadhaka who has accomplished some great. So, so it depends on what you do. You decide right, you will get right. But God has a sense of right. Suppose you wanted wealth in one life, and in the next life, He may not give you in that life. In the next life, when that wealth is useless to you, you are unhealthy, you are miserable, then He may give you a lot of wealth. So the thing is, what comes to you as a result of sadhana depends on what you are and what God has in mind.
So with passing time, we are going deeper and deeper into Kali Yuga. So automatically the heavier the burdens of karma are going to any which ways increase on people. In a situation like this, what do you think Agni as a sadhana, will be the future, and how it will then pave its way for a larger benefit? I would like you to answer that.
That's a great question. Even though we believe that Kali is becoming deeper and deeper, there is one guidance in Bhavishya Purana. Sri Krishna teaches in Bhavishya Purana that first 5,000 years of Kali Yuga, Kali will really deteriorate and become worse and worse, and Dharma will basically reach rock bottom. And after that, Dharma will again be revived. And for 5,000 years, there is an increase of Dharma in the world. Though it is still Kali Yuga, there is an increase of Dharma. And after that 5,000 years, which means basically 10,000 years, then Kali will again set in and Dharma will start deteriorating, but not as fast as in the 5,000 years. It will start deteriorating slowly, and it will take that 400 and whatever thousand years. So that's what Sri Krishna taught. So I'm actually hopeful that we are around 5,000 years into Kali Yuga. So I'm actually hopeful that the worship of Agni and various Dharma Karyas, Nityakarmas will be revived in the coming years, coming decades, and there will be increased Dharma in the world. And secondly, as I mentioned earlier, for increased Dharma in the world, we have to basically keep various devatas. So we have to do Nityakarmas and make offerings to them through Agni. So I'm hopeful that more and more people in the coming decades will take up Agni, and through Agni they will keep the devatas happy, and as devatas are happy, there will be more Dharma, higher Dharma in the world than we are seeing right now. I'm hopeful that the increase of Dharma that Sri Krishna mentioned has something to do with more people doing Agnisadhana. And also, as people do Agnisadhana, Shastras say worship of Agni gives you material benefits, it will give you spiritual benefits. This is there in Vedas, it is there in Upanishad, there are various Brahmanas. So I am hopeful that as more and more people take up Agni, they will be hooked to that lively, energetic nature of Agni, and they will spend more time with Agni, and they will increase Dharma. And the people who are contributing to the increased Dharma will also benefit as a result of it. Their material lives will be better off, and their spiritual progress will be very brisk, and there will be increased Dharma in their life.
And you are one of them who is.
Hopefully, we are just instruments. Our message has always been not that we are special. We basically want you to realize that you are special, and Agni is the guru who can help you realize that. All of us are Brahman in the end, according to Vedanta, according to Upanishad. And to realize that fully, not just intellectually, you need to do sadhana, and Agni can really help you. So our message is not it's not about following us or putting us on a pedestal. We are just there doing our job. Really, the strings are being pulled by rishis and gurus, etc. But you are special and you can realize it through Agni. So use Agnideva's company to enlighten yourself.
And if in this parampara, which are those significant gurus' names that you would like to take? I know it should have been in the beginning, but we want to end it with that.
Actually, it's good to end on a note of paying respects to various gurus who are able to. So, I want to mention 3 different paramparas. One parampara is our own parampara. We come from Dattatreya. Today is Dattatreya Jayanti. So, from Dattatreya had 9 Sishyas, Navanathas, Matsyadranath, Gorakshanath, Jalandharnath, etc. We come from the parampara of Matsyadranath, and specifically in the recent past, Tembe Swami, also known as Vasudevananda Saraswati, he is our Paramaguru. So we come from his parampara, and he was performing a daily Tarpana and Homa. So I want to pay respects to Dattatreya, Matsyadranath, and also Sri Vasudevananda Saraswati and Tembe Swami, who himself is considered a Dattavatara. He is considered a incarnation of Dattatreya. So that is our parampara, our Guru parampara in this particular life. And the other Guru parampara I want to pay respect to is Sri Jatala Sadhu, also known as Gayatri Baba, or his name is Rama Vishwamhara Das. There is a temple here in Miyapur. He is mentioned, for those who are familiar with the Aghora series books by Dr. Robert Svoboda. He is mentioned as Junior Guru Maharaj in those books. He is the Guru of Aghori Vimalananda. So Aghori Vimalananda said in Aghora series books that my children will come and spread fire worship, Homa across the world. And we believe that we are connected to that parampara, and we were inspired by some of the specific teachings of Aghori Vimalananda and his Guru, Junior Guru Maharaj, Ram Vishwamhara Das, Gayatri Baba, and Jatala Sadhu. And also Dr. Robert Svoboda, he really inspired us and influenced us. He gave a lot of guidance in the formative stages of this effort. So that parampara of Dr. Robert Svoboda, Aghori Vimalananda, and Jatala Sadhu, I want to pay respect to that parampara. The influence is very clearly on us. And the third parampara I want to pay respect to is, as I mentioned, when we went to the Karikambal temple in Chennai, to do Satchandi Homa, that is exactly where the Divine Mother gave darshan to my Guru and gave the command to spread Homa. And without his mentioning, Swami Sadasiva, the head priest of the temple, enabled us with various materials and books. And also, he did not stop there. Whenever I conduct a Homa, he was not able to be here, but in the Homa workshops I had in US, he was there. And he goes around US gifting Homakundas, small Homakundas to people, giving the link to the website and telling them, start doing this Homa, start doing simplest Ganpati Homa. So he's been and some people who follow me, who do Homa, even before they meet me, they end up meeting Swami Saraswati. He senses them, some important people like in LA or somewhere. He goes there, meets them. He makes video calls to me and he says, this person is trying to meet you for the last 10 years. So he's been that binding force and the motivator, and especially when some women or non-Brahmanas by birth want to do Homa, and some priest or some powerful authority comes and says, no, we don't have Adhikara. Swami Sadasivam puts his foot down and he says, no, they have no clue what they are talking about. You can do, you do. So he's been that, and those who have seen him, he's Simhalagna, he looks like a Simha. He's like a child, innocent child, but also he has that authority to him. So he's been a force behind our movement, supporting us wherever we need, and lending his voice of authority. So I want to, and his father, Sri Sambhut Sivacharya, who was the head priest of Kalkammal temple. I never met him, but from several people that I really respect, I heard that he's a tremendous like Anna. We call Swami Sadasivam as Anna. He's very close to us. So that parampara, the Sivacharya parampara of the Kalikampal temple in Chennai. By the way, this is the temple where Samarthanavada sent Shivaji Maharaj for a major battle. So this is a very ancient and powerful temple. So we have some connection with the temple also, and definitely Anna is like an Atmabandhu to us. So I want to pay respects to the Sivacharya Parampara of Kalgamba temple also. These are the three paramparas that have shaped the current Homa movement. And I still, even though I believe tens of thousands of people are doing it on a regular basis, I believe this movement is still in early stages. And Mother willing, we will be conducting more such workshops in US, in India and various other countries, and inspiring people. And hopefully, as Manish said long back, lakhs of people will indeed be doing Homa on a regular basis in the coming decades, contributing to increase Dharma.
So, Dhanyavad for doing this and motivating so many people. We saw a huge crowd today of almost more than 200 people doing the Homa. There was Agni Prajwalit in 200 Homa Kundas, which was like a boom. It was like such a big impact it must have made, not just to the environment here, but to perhaps for times to come, and that we will see. So, first of all, thank you very much for taking out your time. You had a very short visit with your daughter getting married. Congratulations to you and to your family, to your daughter. And Narasimhaji, we will continue doing this kind of series with you. I want to talk to you more because Dharma Vibe, this particular channel, is to reach to many people, giving some authentic information out to people, not necessarily all the time very popular people, but also even some people who kind of set examples for us. So I want to reach their voice also, so that there is more interaction happening and more dharmic work happens. So there will be, further conversations that I want to engage with you on mantra sadhana, on tarpana as a separate session altogether. I would like to do that. Perhaps we will have to do those virtually. Yeah, and but thanks once again for this very insightful conversation that we had with you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you. Namaskar.